to the Minister, His Excellency Bandar Al-Horiev, and his very able and energetic Vice Minister, Khalid Al-Mudaifer, assembled ministers from all over the world here at our third very important Future Minerals Forum. It's a great honor to be here and spend 18 minutes with you, giving you some hope and starting from a point of departure where we were at the first meeting. We live in a very troubled world today. We're all on that little dot hurtling through space together. That's our home. That's all of us. Everybody you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being, whoever was, lived out their lives on this small, tiny planet, hurtling through space from one God. And so Saudi Arabia now is supporting the world with stable energy, a very troubled world, and recognizing now that beyond the traditional hydrocarbon role, Saudi Arabia has an enormous mineral endowment. His Excellency Bandar Al-Horiev said that it's about $2.5 trillion. That's probably a very conservative number. And with the kingdom looking at its own needs and also as a provider internationally, this is rapidly becoming the most important venue for the miners to come like bees to honey. The kingdom wants to reduce mineral imports, quoting the vice minister, by 65%, aiming to have 50% of its energy coming from renewable energy in a few short years, essentially tomorrow morning. It's doable, but we'll need new technology. Any kind of renewable energy is absurdly energy intensive. A typical electric car is about 6 times the amount of minerals in a conventional car. Offshore wind is just crazy at 9 times the minerals. And so that's why these cables that serve wind farms are so expensive. Look at all the copper along with that fiber optic cable. So if we look at the history of humanity, I'm just reminding you, we've covered this before. If you go back to Mohenjo-Daro, you go back to 4000 BC, as a species without electrification, we need to mine the same amount of copper in the next 22 years as we have in human history. And this won't be done without new technology, and there is absolutely no chance of an energy transition away from hydrocarbon absent an enormous increase in responsible mining. These numbers are real. They cannot be gotten away from. We're consuming about 23 or 24 million tons a year today just to maintain 3% GDP growth. Every nation will look to its own mineral endowment for national security. Copper could really go up in price a lot. That's not a bad thing. Goldman Sachs thinks we need about $15,000 a ton to really bring into production the very large porphyry copper mines that are very capital intensive and are found all over the world. They really are a marginal proposition today at $8,000 a ton. It's really Africa that is home to about 30% of the world's mineral reserves and has the brightest mineral endowment. And beyond Africa, the Islamic world in general, the underexplored countries in the Islamic world, Saudi Arabia being one of them. So we're going to give you a little quick look at what we found in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Just a very brief reminder. It'll take a couple minutes, and then I'll be back with the story of Kamoa-Kakula. Please, let's run it.
Over 27 years ago, Ivanhoe Mines geologists began exploring for copper in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In 2008, the efforts paid off with the discovery of Kamoa, followed by the ultra-high-grade Kakula discovery in 2016, both recognized today as the 4th largest copper resource in the world. In 2021, first production began at Kakula, on budget and months ahead of schedule, only 5 years after initial discovery. In 2 years since, Kamoa-Kakula has completed a second expansion and produced over 800,000 tons of copper, generating over $3.3 billion of EBITDA, and is ahead of schedule to complete its Phase 3 expansion in mid-2024, taking annual production capacity to over 600,000 tons of copper. With extremely high copper grades, as well as green hydropower partnerships with the DRC state, Kamoa-Kakula has the lowest carbon emissions of any major copper mine. By the end of the year, Kamoa-Kakula will commission a state-of-the-art copper smelter, producing 500,000 tons of copper anodes per annum, reducing cash costs by approximately 20%. We also recently announced the first copper shipment on the Lobito Atlantic Rail Corridor, a project supported by the US and the EU, which took a third of the time compared to the existing export routes by truck. Ivanhoe Mines recently disclosed major exploration results for its Western Foreland properties adjacent to Kamoa-Kakula, including a Kakula-like Kitoko discovery. This is further proof that the DRC will be the source of sustainable copper growth the world needs for the energy transition. For over 2 decades, we have been investing in the development of our local communities and environment, changing the livelihoods of thousands of people, including our full-time employees, who are over 97% Congolese.
It's really only through our efforts in the last 27 years where we realized that we found a way to operate our mine on Islamic principles. The way we have engineered the software and our relationship with the communities, the way women have a prominent role in the management, the way the communities have become part of the development is quite unlike the traditional mining industry. So in the future, this is what success will look like. We're also working on disruptive technology, and for the first time, we're going to speak today about what we're doing that's completely different. We'll start with our joint venture here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia between Ivanhoe Electric and Ma'aden. So as you may know, we have a 50-50 joint venture. We started working where I first came 32 years ago at the Alamar mine, which is about 150 kilometers west of here. And we'll give you a very brief video on what we're doing.
World-class exploration platform to explore for electric metals in Saudi Arabia as part of our 50-50 joint venture with Saudi Arabian mining company Ma'aden, one of the largest and fastest growing mining companies in the world. With Ivanhoe Electric as operator, our joint venture has commenced the first deployment of our Typhoon system to begin exploring approximately 48,500 square kilometers of underexplored Saudi Arabian Shield, an area larger than Switzerland. These highly prospective grounds host some of the world's most ancient and significant mines, such as the Mahad al-Dahab, or Cradle of Gold, which has been producing gold for over 3,000 years, and the Jabal Sayid underground copper mine. We are honored to partner with Ma'aden as we work together to uncover the tremendous mineral potential of Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be working with Ma'aden. And today we announced very exciting initial results at Alamar. When I came here 32 years ago, there was no mining law and Ma'aden didn't exist. So I'm very happy from the perspective of a grandfather to see this nation and the young people in this nation, led by its visionary leadership, to provide a real diversification into new forms of energy beyond the discovery of the Guar oil field that has built the modern world. But now we're going to show you where real disruption is coming in mining. We've been working in this company for 21 years with the support of the French government. This is iPulse. I'm just going to tell you that power and energy are two entirely different things. We now have technology to compress a certain amount of energy, and the more we compress it, the greater amount of power we can create. Just like in the old days, there was a military catapult, very slow charge, rapid discharge in a catapult. We squeeze electrical energy with supercapacitors, and with that we can perform industrial magic that will completely change the modern world. We now have a solution called IROX that will reduce the energy consumption and its carbon dioxide burden for mining by at least 80%. We're commercializing this with the best in the business. BHP is the largest mining company in the world, and Breakthrough Energy is founded by Bill Gates, who founded Microsoft, who's brought in a lot of top technology investors, as well as the European Economic Community. We are now in very important discussions with Saudi Aramco and other Saudi companies about bringing this technology here to the kingdom. So IROX is our division that is going to change the economics of mining. A lot of the energy in mining is to take the rock and simply crush it into talcum powder to liberate the metals. That's where the energy consumption is in mining. So here's an example at our laboratories in France of taking copper ore, in this case, from the largest copper mine in the world, La Escondida in Chile. And I want to show you this physics. We're tearing rock apart with tensile force. We're not using any compression. We're using very powerful bursts of electromagnetic energy, and we're pulling these rocks apart exactly at the grain boundary where there's a little particle of copper or gold or other metal that we want. This process is liberating metals with a massive reduction in energy and will enable an energy transition. Look at that rock. It's coming out like smoke. It's been ground so fine in one step with a huge reduction in energy. This is called IROX, and we're very happy to have the largest mining company in the world helping us commercialize this technology. The rock goes from that to that in one step, and nothing like this has ever happened before in our industry. We have improved metal liberation. It's highly efficient on the hardest ores. It uses 80% less energy and gets higher metallurgical recoveries than any technology that has ever occurred. This is the first time it has ever been presented in a forum, which is a measure of our respect for this enormously important conference. This is what one burst of electromagnetic energy looks like in water. This is in a millionth of a second. And take a look at what happens when we take copper ore, in this case from one of our projects in Arizona, and we subject it to one of these bursts. This is just one pulse at the scale. We're tearing the rock apart in a millionth of a second. We're not crushing the rock, we're pulling the rock apart. That's corundum, one of the hardest rocks in the world. And here you'll see how we can tune this pulse and actually liberate a ruby from the surrounding rock without breaking it. See that ruby being liberated? In the diamond mining industry, when we crush the rock, we break most of the diamonds. Now we're taking this same core principle in IROX further, and we're going to show you what we can do with G-Pulse. So this is our #1 project. We're working, discussing this with Aramco. This is electromagnetic pulse drilling in conjunction with traditional technology. This is a block of very high-strength granite, just like tombstone granite. And we have combined a traditional guided drill, such as Aramco is using in its shale development, with our G-Pulse technology. And we've had the support of a number of governments, including the French government. And let's look at this industrial magic. This is a 12¼ inch diameter hole. We can go to any size, as I'll show you in a moment. And here we are drilling in very, very hard rock. Now we turn on pulse power. Each pulse is the output of a nuclear power plant in power, and we dramatically increase the rate of the drilling, even in the hardest granite. This is going to completely change the world. Every one of those flashes is an electromagnetic pulse ahead of the drill bit. The drill bit is going through that granite like a knife through hot butter. This has never happened before. We have a drastic rate in the rate of penetration and drilling, even in the hardest granite, at a dramatic reduction in energy and much less wear on the drill bit. So very conservatively, we're reducing the cost of drilling by half. Now I'm going to play a film and show you how this is going to completely change the world, because it was dynamite that led to the Nobel Prize. Now we're going to show you what drilling can do. Inshallah, we'll do this with Aramco, and we'll really create limitless, free, global warming energy for all of the 8 billion of our people on this planet, so that we can stop living in such a troubled world and start building a world for our kids where we can really make a positive impact. Once we take those drill rigs and we put a plethora of them, we can just continuously mine. We won't need a milling technology at all. We'll just go through the ore body continuously, and that material coming out the back will be liberated with IROX technology. But combining that technology with the energy under our feet, my movie will have to wait till next year. I'm missing a film on the geothermal applications. With that, I will thank you, and next year we'll show you the geothermal applications. Thank you very much for the privilege to see you, and congratulations to all of you to making this the greatest and most important mineral conference on our small planet. Thank you.